Welcome to Title Talk, a podcast for real estate investors where we cover tips, tricks, and trends in the industry.
This podcast is all about providing valuable insights to help you maximize your investment opportunities.
Whether you're a seasoned pro or just getting started, Title Talk is the place to stay in the know and get inspired.
So grab your headphones, tune in, and let's talk title.
Hey!
What's up?
How you doing?
Good. How are you today?
So good to see you. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the second episode of Title Talk. This is actually our first live episode. We haven't done this live before, so good to see each and every one of you that are joining us for this tonight. We're super stoked to have you guys here. And Dena, you look phenomenal. How are you?
So do you. I'm good. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah,
live.
That last episode, we got a lot of comments, mainly about Dena needing to speak up. Actually, guys, it wasn't her. It wasn't her fault. We had the microphone levels that were like low, but what is really important is that everybody wanted to hear more from Dena. They wanted to see more Dena, hear more Dena, have more Dena, and so Dena is back by your popular demand. So Dena, you wowed everybody. Everybody's in love with you.
Thank you. And guys, we did love your feedback. Seriously.
We sure did. The cool thing about this show, guys, is that Title Talk is about how you can work with your title company to really understand the nuances of your specific market, maybe some of the ways that deals can go right, the way that deals can go wrong, how you can leverage a title company to do more business, and intricacies and nuances for your specific market that you need to know when you're talking contracts, when you're talking escrow, when you're talking the mechanics of getting a deal done. I can tell you guys, over 6,000 transactions. That's how many deals I've done. Think about that. Over 6,000 wholesale deals. I have seen everything. I've seen it all. I've seen it all.
Good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah, the good, the bad, the ugly. Made lots of money, lost money, had people angry, people happy, people cry, people swear, all of it. And all that has done is given me more knowledge, more opportunity to really dive into the meat and potatoes of this. So really excited to have the partner with Fidelity Title to actually put this out, because this is not information that people ever talk about, because it's not really like sexy, right? Like, or is it? Is title sexy?
Because like you asked me, can we talk title? And I was like, I don't know. Do people care about that stuff?
I do, because I know how important it is. Because that's where my check comes from. I want to talk title because that's where the money comes from, honey. Well, guys, it is absolutely sexy. It is a very important topic for you to understand. And we are going to bring an escrow officer that I personally have done a lot of business with. My entire organization is in love with this escrow officer. And before we bring her on, Dena, tell us a little bit about your relationship with Jody. Jody Ayala, guys, is who I'm talking about. Phenomenal human being, phenomenal escrow officer. If you're in Arizona and you're not doing business with Jody, or you haven't done business with Jody, fire your title company, fire your escrow officer. She's your gal. Dena, how did you come to meet Jody, and how important has she been to the F&F family and your guys' success in the investor space of title?
Yeah, so Jody's rock star. She has been in the title space for about 18 years now, and she's definitely going to share with us some of the amazing deals that she's done, some specific circumstances. She's the branch manager of our Thunderbird Park office. Thunderbird, located in Peoria, Arizona, but they do business everywhere. So yeah, I'm excited for her to meet everybody on here.
Well, super excited to bring her on. She kind of like a Daenerys Targaryen sort of vibe. And for those of you that are nerds, Game of Thrones nerds, you'll understand when you see the beautiful blonde hair that Jody sports. If you would, guys, send your virtual hugs, your virtual applause, Jody Ayala.
And you know what's funny about Jody is she does change her hair color sometimes. So she could be blonde one day and brunette the next.
That's very, very modern of you.
Hi, Jody.
Hi, Jody.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Amazing. How are you?
I am doing great. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the kind words.
I mean, they're not just kind words; they're facts, right? You and I have done business for a long time. My team all adore you. We've closed hundreds of deals together. And really, it's an honor for me to be able to have you on this, and to have Fidelity National Title as our partner in really sharing with the investor world just how important title companies and title can be to your success, to your growth. And we want to dive into all of the meat and potatoes of ways that things can go wrong, ways that things can go right, how we can work with our title companies, how we can leverage them better, but also get to know you a little bit, because there's going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of people that'll watch this episode. Many of them will be doing deals in Arizona. And my goal, my hope is that they all reach out to your office of Fidelity Title and reach out to you specifically, Jody, to do their investor deals.
Well, I love it. Let's get into it. And I love that you say title is sexy, because when I think of sexy, I think of, you got it all going on. Lots of dynamics, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. And
yeah,
sexy it is.
That's sexy, right? Like it's the thing, because here's why I think title's sexy, because like I said earlier, that's where the money comes from. Okay. But it's also where the mechanics of what we do actually takes place. Guys, as a wholesaler, do you know that I create millions of dollars of value by being able to leverage contracts, by being able to understand and leverage documents, financial instruments? I've become a millionaire, and my title companies have helped me do it. Not only that, but my best friend, who's the top creative finance investor in the entire country, can buy and sell houses without ever needing his own cash, his own credit, really anything, a license, none of that. And title companies allow us to transact. It's like you guys democratize real estate investing. And, Dena and I were talking earlier today, not only do you guys democratize real estate investing, but there's so many ways that you can leverage a title company. Before we get into that, Jody, we want to learn a little bit about you. Because you are a veteran in the industry. And even though you look super young, I know that you've got a lot of history in the title business. So would you rewind us back to the beginning of your journey as an escrow officer? How did you get in the business of title?
Well, that is funny. And I laugh because it's like, we go to college, we do all these things. We have these big dreams when we're young, right? But never, ever did I once think, oh, I'm going to be an escrow officer, let alone even know what that was, back when I was growing up. So, I feel like for everybody, that's in the title and escrow industry, it's not something we grow up dreaming about or going to school for. You can't go and take a class on how to be an escrow officer and, get a diploma or something and go do it.
Yeah, it's not like a university or a college,
right?
Like degree. Yeah,
right. I think I did go to college and I got a degree and all of that. So I definitely think my business management degree, if you will, has helped me along the way with navigating my business and doing that. But I was living in California, struggling to make ends meet. I was a professional dancer, ballerina, tap, jazz, lyrical, doing all that stuff, teaching, dance, choreographing, and struggling to make ends meet. So I thought, I got to figure out something. I got to find a way to support my dream at that time. And while I continued to pursue that and be able to pay the bills. And so I just literally started faxing my resume to every single fax number that was in the newspaper.
Awesome.
And that was when fax was, now they've got all different kinds of fancy stuff, but fax was our thing back then. Right?
Now fax is the way that young people say that's true. That's
right. Yeah. But the moral of that, I think, is you do what you got to do when, push comes to shove, and how bad do you want something, right? So I started faxing during my lunch hour I was working for a dance clothing line. And so I was faxing my resume over my lunch hour every day and spending, taking bites in between and all that, whatever. But, and so then I got a call from an escrow company in California, and I started at the bottom working as a receptionist, and then I moved to assistant escrow officer, and then escrow officer and assistant manager, and now manager and escrow officer, assistant vice president. So, you get invested in what it is that you do and get deep rooted and build and commit fully to whatever it is that you're doing, and anything's possible. So that's kind of my story in a nutshell. I started in California, got married, moved out here to Arizona, and here we are.
And by the way, she's a total rock star dancer.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I think at our next meetup, any chance we'll get what is it? What's a dance term? A pirouette? Is that thing? Is that any chance we'll get a pirouette from you at the next Kizzy meetup?
She can do some hip hop too, though.
She's
your
giggling.
video, your 80s dance video you
Yes. You like that?
I probably watched it at least 60 times. I'm not even kidding you.
That's so fun. No, I
fantastic.
I enjoyed that. Maybe you can help me out with an ad in the future. I got to make some more funny ones. They've all been so serious lately and boring, But no, I want to make some more comedic ones. So Jody, you'll absolutely help me. But that's great.
So Jody, why don't you share with us one of the things that keeps you passionate in this business?
My favorite thing I feel like about the industry is nothing's the same. Every day, it's going to be something new. It's ever-changing market. So I love the bend and flex. I love molding to different the different things that are going on in our industry, the differences in our market, changing from, REOs to short sales to traditional real estate to investors. So all the different facets, I guess, that we have going on, and nothing's the same. I love thinking outside of the box, brainstorming, problem solving is probably my most favorite aspect of what we do. And just, navigating the different nuances that come about every day is really what fuels me, I guess.
So, you've been in it since, you were faxing. So I have to ask, right? How long have you been in the business? I mean, have you been in it over a decade? 2 decades? I mean, like you look like a teenager. So 18 years?
18 years. Yeah. 18 years. And it's funny because it's like, I was just talking to Katie in my office today. I said, one of the things that we appreciate most about, our longtime loyal clients is when they just call and check in, like, how are you doing? Because sometimes I think like, oh my gosh, I'm going to, have a cup of coffee and I'm just going to die here. And, come by, check on us, make sure the body's still warm. We're still breathing and moving. I absolutely love what I do. And I mean, I think 18 years speaks for that,
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible. And the funny thing is too, that a lot of people that are real estate investors or getting started in the business, they don't understand that you don't have to be a wholesaler. You don't have to be a real estate agent. You don't have to be a creative finance person. You can get very wealthy. You could actually do really well in the title and escrow business. And I'm not going to ask you about your personal finances, but how rich are you? No. Sorry.
I'm rich in love.
Yeah, but because if you do a lot of business and you can build a good book of business, right? And that's what I understand about title companies and especially escrow officers like yourself, that people become loyal to you, right? And I've followed escrow officers before from their move from one office to another. It's happened in my life, right? Where I was like, oh, I really like this escrow officer, and she moves to a different branch or a different company altogether, and then all of a sudden I'm like, see ya, I'm with the escrow officer, right? So I know that it's really important that you like these relationships, and because you can really build a book of business. So for people that are even interested in the title business? Is it lucrative? Is it something that people can be like, yeah, like I can do really well and have a good life? I saw the car that Dena rolled up in today, and I was like, damn, how do I get one of them?
Well, we, like agents or like investors, we don't get paid until the deal closes.
Right.
And so I think that's important for, yes, we work for a Fortune 250 or 280 or whatever we are today company. However, we have a small base, but we are very heavily compensated on commissions and bonuses. So again, we don't get paid until you get
the deal
paid.
is done. So until you've performed, until everybody is, the funds are dispersed, everybody's happy, everything's happened, that's when the title company eats. That's when you get your pay. And so I just want everybody to understand, it's so important. It's so important that you respect, love, and really honor the relationships that you have with your title officer, with your title company. Because look, if you're one of those wholesalers, and I'm gonna scold you guys right now, if you're one of those wholesalers right now that are going and opening files at your title company and then canceling files left, right, and center, okay, shame on you. Don't do that, right? I've taught the people that are in the astro flipping community, and I say it on Wholesale Hotline, and I'm going to say it with you right now. As wholesalers, we have to think about the business of title. And one of the things that I have worked out with my title company is the understanding that, look, I may or may not know what I'm doing with this deal right now. I have this house under contract. I'm going to explore all my exit strategies during the inspection period. But because I honor your costs, because I honor your business model, please don't pull a title report on this file until I know what my exit or disposition strategy is going to be on this deal. How important is it, do you think, for people, investors, to be communicative and transparent and honest with their title companies so that you guys aren't spending needless dollars doing things that will ultimately just end up being cost you money? Like, do you guys like respect that and want that from your customers?
Yeah, of course. But Jamil, to be honest, you are the exception to greatness in that regard, because I can't tell you how many times people will call and just say, hey, can you pull a title report? Can you do this? And we have, there's other things that we can do.
Well, how much does it cost you to pull a title report? Let's talk about that. What's the cost?
It's $650.
Guys, $650, and people are just willy-nilly calling their title company and be like, yo, pull this title report for me. I want to see what's going on. Guys, that's $650 in sunken costs. And especially if you open a file, you go lock up a deal, you open a file with a title company, and then you don't even deposit earnest money, and then you don't even work the deal, and then you just canceled it. Like, they just spent $650 pulling a title report for you.
Well, think about when you got started, right?
Yes.
We learned the hard way.
We did.
Because
I didn't know that until
we had the conversation.
Until it was like, hey, because when I was first getting started, I'm going to be straight up and transparent with everybody. I didn't close every deal I was in. I didn't know. I still had to learn. I was learning what I was doing. I was making mistakes and canceling, and things were happening. Obviously, that's changed, right? We've become a lot better. We've become more mature. We understand our business. We know our numbers. We have good relationships with buyers, so we complete a lot more. But we still have that relationship with our title company to say, look, we honor you guys. We don't want you to be spending money on deals that are not going to pan out to anything. So please. So when
actually, it's fun. We even have a system for this in Jody's office for any of the Astros that are on here. If you send your email to astrocontracts@fnf.com, that triggers us to know that we aren't opening the prelim, but we are giving your seller security on making sure that they know that we've got stuff going on, but we're not spending the $650 at that stage because you don't have an end buyer.
Then now you guys can still open the file and accept earnest money, and the contract is still ratified. It's still in process, and all of the things that you would normally expect to happen. You'll still communicate with the seller. You'll still communicate with all of the necessary parties and do all the things that a title company should do. But we're not going to get into that spot where we're now like spending money and digging ourselves into a hole.
Right. Well, and if you have questions, maybe you think your seller's, not giving you the full picture about what's going on with the property, or maybe there was a death and they don't know what exactly the situation is, we can do a quick liens and encumbrances search, and it's free and it's fast. I mean,
I never even knew that. What's that called? A liens and encumbrances search?
Yes, it's a liens and encumbrances search.
I just learned something brand new
free,
today.
and we have it back from them like within 24 hours. I've seen them come in as fast as 4 hours.
So if somebody's doing creative finance, and this is an important thing, right? Like if you're doing creative finance, you want to know what are all of the obligations, like what's the note, if there are any judgments, any liens, any encumbrances, clouds, whatever it is on title. That's the search that I could use to be able to get an understanding of what clouds or what things I have to satisfy in order to achieve clear title.
Correct.
And is this liens and encumbrances search readily available across the nation?
Dena,
I can't speak for procedures in other operations directly, but I do know that the tool is available.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would absolutely want to get a hold of.
Ask them.
Yeah. So now somebody asked the question earlier in the chat, and I want to respond to it. Is FNF national?
Yes.
It's in the name. Fidelity National Financial. So yes, you are a national title company, and if they want to work with an office, a Fidelity office, how would they get a hold of you, Dena, to find a match for a title company in their specific market?
You can just email titletalk@fnf.com, and I will connect you with a office in the place that you're either trying to go into or that you're already into.
Awesome. Guys, we're going to get to the audience questions here in a little moment, but I just want to ask Jody some questions about, her business and things that make her tick. So when you are working, with a customer or with a new client, what are some things that you like or turn you on? And I don't mean that in a gross way. I mean that in
We're talking about sexy things.
No,
again.
but title is sexy. So I want to know what's your love language.
I think, it goes back to, it's very simple, and it goes back to something that everybody's mother probably taught them when they were going to their first day of kindergarten, and that is to be nice. Like, I think the world we're living in today is hard enough and difficult enough. And at the end of the day, we all work to provide, for our families. We can travel or do whatever we want to do. But to help each other get to the finish line, whatever that finish line might be in that moment. So loyalty, we love loyal clients. When you've got a tough transaction or a messy title or, a difficult seller that you're working with, to really support each other. And I say each other in all inclusive in the transaction, whether you're, an investor or the seller's agent or the buyer's agent or the lender, to be all inclusive and everybody really working to get that deal to the finish line, supporting each other, having each other's back, and be nice, be kind.
Good point.
I love that.
It's so real.
It's so real.
Because I've been that guy that has been at a like an investor meetup, and I've heard people on the phone yelling at their title company, yelling at their escrow officer, like, you better blah, blah, blah. And I think to myself, like, dude, gross. Yeah. Like, why would you ever think that it's acceptable to talk to that person or anybody for that matter? But it's like this person is going to help you make $40,000 on a transaction, and you're treating them with disrespect. Like, that is so uncool, right? Like, it just completely terrible.
It's
I think
have humanity,
right.
Treat them like they're humans, and everybody comes from something. You don't know what was happening in their world.
Exactly. And so, like, even if things are taking longer than they would normally take, like, because you guys get slammed, things happen, right? And so, like, be also understanding of just the like realities of life. You know, if your escrow officer is sick or their assistant's gone and they've been piled up with all kinds of things, like just understand, you know? And so like that's a really important thing. Be kind.
I love that. Okay, Jody. So I'm going to talk about something that's not so sexy.
Okay.
What turns you off? What's a title turn
God.
off?
I think probably unrealistic expectations, and I think expectations can be a difficult thing to set sometimes, especially when you're working with somebody for the first time, or you've got somebody in a transaction that you don't normally work with. So that can be a tough thing to navigate. But again, at the end of the day, I think it comes down to communication. Here's what I need, or here's what, how can I help you, or what's frustrating you, to have those real and difficult conversations sometimes. And one-sided relationships are probably the biggest turn off.
Yeah, it's all about me. Don't what you care about or your business doesn't matter. Like they literally, and it's interesting. I love to think about my title company and the people I work with as my partners, not service providers.
Right.
And that's
the power of partnership.
Yes.
When you are both in a mutual relationship.
Right. Like I feel like you guys are as important to the transaction as my acquisitions guy or me or anybody else for that matter, because look, I can make a deal happen and you could blow the deal up. So I for damn sure better respect you and understand how to like really harness this relationship and make sure that we are on the same page. So I absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing that. So guys, you learned a little bit about, what makes a title company feel happy, what makes a title company unhappy. I want to dive into a little bit of drama now. It wouldn't be a podcast
for this.
If we didn't have, if it wouldn't be a podcast if we weren't getting into the dramatics. So tell us a title ghost story. Tell us one of the most spookiest, dookiest things that have happened to you in the title business.
Well, I've definitely got one that gave me nightmares for a very, very long time, and one that I went back and revisited multiple times because I had to make sure that it was resolved. So, gosh, 4 years ago, and we and did all the right things. We go in, have our red flags up, check email addresses, verify wire instructions, do all these things, that we're trained on. But this particular one was a doozy. And the seller had created a ID of a deceased person. And we sent a notary to them. The notary verified their driver's license, signed it, notarized, and we used the transaction of a deceased person's home. So you can imagine the family, what happens months later when the family goes to find out and someone's trying to move into the house or already in the house, and they go past the property to see. Completely devastating. And for us, totally embarrassing, because as professionals, it just it knocks you for a loop for sure. So you go back and you revisit and you say, okay, what could have we done differently? And you look at all the things that, and you go back, yep, we did this, we did this, we did this, we did this. And the bottom line is, at sometimes fraud is from, if we had all the loopholes and everything figured out and dialed in and we're 100 proof, there wouldn't be such a thing. And at the end of the day, that's why there's title insurance, right?
Right.
Hey,
Right.
Jody, there was a bit of a shaky connection. So can you just give the highlight of like what exactly happened in the beginning that gave you a nightmare in that transaction?
Your connection's better
sure.
now, but it kind of got a little bit cut out. So we appreciate the recap. Sorry about that.
Oh, sure. So we had a seller, it was a fake seller who basically took over the identity of a deceased person, created an ID, opened a bank account, all these things. So it came time for closing. We had been communicating with this individual. It came time for closing. We sent a notary out to him. He provided identification. The notary, who also carries, liability insurance, notarized him. It was one of our regular preferred notaries. And, at the end of the day, fraudsters are going to be fraudsters. All we can do is make sure that we are crossing our T's, dotting our I's. And in this particular instance, we had done, our due diligence and what we were supposed to do. But for me, I couldn't stop thinking about the family that had been affected by this, that had, they already had to deal with the death of a family member. And so now to have to deal with, home being gone and their belongings and all these things, it's just, it's awful. But again, at the end of the day, this is why you get title insurance on your transactions. And
Right.
You don't just sign deeds here and there, transferring property and swap checks,
Right.
And you also go with your gut on that one, right? So like on either side of the transaction, as an investor, as an escrow officer, sometimes when your gut feels off, you take action, right?
For sure.
And it's interesting, right? Because we're again, in the world of fraud, it's such a terrible thing. I've been a victim of fraud before. I've been a victim of a wire being intercepted by a fraudster. In fact, I was in a Fidelity deal when money was intercepted by a fraudster. So somebody had hacked an account, an email account. They had swapped in wire instructions that were their wire instructions. Money got wired to the wrong bank account. And I have to be honest, Fidelity Title was the most stand-up company when it came to dealing with this situation, unraveling everything, helping us get the money back, clawbacks, making everything whole, working with the banks, working with everybody to make sure that the deal, like nobody was hurt, right? And at the end of the day, that's really important. It's really important because, look, fraudsters are going to create havoc. They're going to go out there. They're going to do bad stuff. They're going to make things terrible. But if you have the right company and you have the right backing, you've got the right policies, you have the right safety nets, when bad things happen, there's good companies that solve those problems and situations. And actually Fidelity Title made not only myself, but the people involved all whole. And we ended up walking out of that situation wiser, but really thankful that we had a relationship with Fidelity, because that was pretty terrible. It was a terrible thing that happened, right? And just like in your circumstance and instance, it really makes you aware of just how unscrupulous people can be in the financial space.
And one of the trending things too when it comes to fraud today is elder abuse. I mean, that's definitely something that's a hot topic for training for our teams. For I know you guys just had a conversation about that last week too, Jody. But that's something that's coming up a lot on the investor circuit.
Right. So you guys being able to spot if you have, like a caregiver that's maybe being forcefully making somebody transfer a property or do something that is not in their best interest, you're trained to pick up on the signs or what could possibly signal that something unscrupulous is going on.
Right. Yeah, and power of attorneys are a tough thing too for the elderly, because you know, a lot of times when we have the POAs for, you know, even family members, they either have dementia or they're in a home or something like that. So even getting a hold of those people sometimes to be able to talk to them and confirm that they do in fact understand they're selling their property, that they're selling their property for 350,000 or whatever the amount is, and that, you know, Betty Boop is going to act as the power of attorney and sign for that individual. So you know, it's a tough, it's a sensitive thing, and we have to navigate it very, very delicately, because, you know, we would never want the person in the transaction to think that we are making, you know, an unjust accusation or something. We're simply doing what we need to do to make sure all parties are protected.
I would way rather you guys check my ID, make sure that like you guys gave me a thorough check than just take me for my word. You know what I mean? Like, and you know, when somebody does get upset about that, it's usually because, well, not usually, but sometimes it's because they're trying to hide something. You know what I mean? So like I look, I go through airport security, and I do it lovingly, and I'm happy to go through it because I know I don't want to be on a plane where somebody snuck something on it. Right. And so like, I know, like I'm a party to the thorough check because I want to make sure that I don't got a crazy person on the plane with me that's going to hurt us. Right. And so just like when we're in title, like I'm totally going to submit to the thorough check. I just did a deal I just went to my bank the other day, and my banker, we text, like we're friends. Right. But when I sat down at his desk, first thing I did is pull out my wallet and gave him my ID. He knows who the hell I am. You know, he doesn't need to see my ID, but I give him my ID anyways, because I'm like, yo, check my ID. This is what we do. We're at the bank. Check my ID.
Yeah.
You know, what if I'm fake Jamil? You know, like, here, check my ID. So really, really important. And I'm glad that, you know, I'm sorry to have dug up a ghost story, but I'm glad that you talked about it, because I know that bugged you.
Well, and the reason that we even want to talk about ghost stories, right, is this is how everybody learns.
Absolutely. We save thousands of dollars and years and years and years of heartache by sharing some of the terrible things that we've experienced and seen. Again, you know, I've done over 6,000 transactions. Can I just ask, how many transactions have you been a part of, Jody?
Too many to count.
More than me?
There is no way. I have no idea. I have no idea.
Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
I couldn't even.
It's a big number.
So
calculate.
there's an interesting thing that happens, especially in the space of investing, right? Where there's traps. Contracts have certain traps or certain things that we need to make note of to make sure that we don't get our back against the wall or put ourselves in a situation that could potentially harm us moving forward. I'll give you an example of it. In Florida, the board approved real estate agent contract has a mutual cancellation clause for buyer and seller if a buyer, say, wants to cancel in a transaction during their inspection period. In order to get your earnest money back, both the buyer and seller have to agree to refund the EMD. Now, sometimes sellers get salty. Sometimes sellers are upset that you had to cancel, and I don't want to be blackmailed or put in a situation where I'm having to play games with a seller because I exercised my contractual right to cancel a contract. Right. So I know that that's in the state of Florida, and you don't do deals in Florida. You do deals here in Arizona. And so I wanted to ask you, do you know of any contractual title traps that people doing deals in Arizona need to think about? This is a question I'm going to ask escrow officers across the country. And so anybody who's tuning in right now, if you're in a different state outside of Arizona, know that when we talk to somebody in your state from Fidelity Title, they will tell us about the title traps that you need to, or contract traps that you need to think about. But I want to ask you, Jody, in Arizona, are there any nuances or any little interesting language in the standard real estate contracts that we use that we need to be careful of or pay attention to?
I think Probably one, and I just ran into this a couple days ago where the earnest money was non-refundable. And non-refundable is non-refundable
Right.
unquestionably.
Right.
However, you have to have, in any contract, you have to have what we call conditions precedent, which means the seller has to be able to bring the property. So if they can't bring the property in a conveyable form, right? Free, clear of liens, encumbrances.
On the day of close.
Yes, on the day of close. Then the earnest money, the buyer could cancel and get their earnest money back, even though the earnest money is non-refundable.
Yes.
So we've got, we run into the hiccup where seller can't convey title, or they can't convey title at the time of closing.
Today, right.
Today, they can convey it, but it's going to take a little bit more time. And, you've got multiple assignments or what have you, where earnest money is flowing up and all this crazy stuff. So, it gets a little bit sticky and a little bit messy, but I think at the end of the day, to remember that those conditions precedent, which is the seller has to be able to convey title. You can't just have people depositing earnest money and you collecting earnest money on a property that
can't be sold. Or can't be conveyed. Yeah. Guys, this is so important. Oh my God. I want to like cut this little piece out and send this out to like every real estate investor in Arizona. What she just said will save you so much grief. And I've been on the both sides of this. Okay. I've been in a deal where I was the buyer in a transaction and I had second thoughts. I'll be honest with you. I had second thoughts about the deal. Okay.
Do you ever do that?
What?
Have second thoughts?
Sometimes. And I mean, it happens. It's not that I'm like, I will always perform and I will always do what I'm supposed to do. Hands down. But on this specific deal, there was so much hair. It was so like, oh my gosh, like I bought the house sight unseen. Okay. I finally get into it. It's way worse than what the wholesaler had told me the condition of the property was.
That never happens.
No, never, right? It was way worse. I mean, I'm talking like night and day different. Again, I bought the deal and I committed to closing it, right? But it was on a specific day. It was, hey, look, on this specific day, if you can convey clear title, I'm going to close. I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do. They weren't able to convey clear title, and I was actually able to cancel and get my EMD back. So on that day, it worked in my favor. Okay. And everybody was like, they were cool with it. They're like, yeah, you're right, Jamil. We couldn't give you clear title. You're in your rights to cancel. And I canceled. I got my EMD back. I've been on the other side of that where I've sold a deal and my seller, for whatever reason, they didn't give the payoff. They didn't sign the payoff request early enough. They didn't do the things that they needed to do for the title company to order all of the necessary documents that they required in order to move the transaction along. So they stalled the process. Now, because they stalled the process, I had sold the deal to a buyer, and now we couldn't convey clear title on the closing day. And the buyer canceled and got their EMD back. And so I've been on both sides of it. And I was like, dang it, that sucks. Right. Same thing that I had done happened to me. And so like, it is what it is, but really important piece of information to know if you're doing deals in Arizona. Okay. You have to be able to convey clear title, even if you've got a non-refundable earnest situation. You have to be able to convey clear title on day of close. Otherwise, the buyer is entitled to get their earnest money back.
I love what you just shared, Jody. I think that's super smart. Do you have a badge to go with that advice?
Escrow
officers, do they have badges?
I did see Jamil's little post today and I was chuckling.
Because I was like, do escrow officers carry guns?
Yeah, we have name badges, but no, we don't arrest people, or we don't carry guns, or we don't, hold people. I don't know.
You can't give us a speeding ticket. You're like, I'm an escrow officer. You're driving too fast.
Failure
doing-
to close.
You're doing this
No.
deal too fast. Here's a fine. No.
Oh my God.
So no badges.
Name
badges.
tags. That's it.
All right. How about tips for investors, Jody? Any pointers that you'd point out, like to somebody who's maybe new in the investing space or maybe experienced, and this advice could go a long way to help them?
I think for investors specifically, it is critical for them to find an escrow officer that is experienced in investment transactions because they're creative, they're outside the box. Not everybody can do them, let's be honest. And to really get deep rooted and invested with an experienced escrow officer who does them is and once you find that person, to hold on to them and appreciate the hell out of them, because their investment deals are not like I said, not just anybody can do them. They're very, very special. They're very intricate. There's multiple people to keep organized, managed, up to speed on what's going on. So find a good one and hang on to them, and don't, like I said, appreciate them, because they're the good ones that are experienced are really hard to come by.
That's so real.
That's gold.
100%. So we're going to get into another section of our podcast where we're just going to
section.
Yeah, we're going to just ask you some random questions, okay? And
Quickie
questions, okay? And just answer them the best that you can. We're going to go round robin, so I'm going to start and then Dena's going to follow. What is the last thing that you Googled?
Let me
You
see.
can get your phone, hon. It's okay.
Get your phone. Just look in your And
in the meantime, Jamil will tell us what the last thing he Googled was.
I'll tell you the last thing I Googled.
I'll bring my phone
Dang it.
too.
I got it. I have the answer for you.
Okay. What you got, Jody?
Small business loans in Arizona.
SBA loans. Okay. Okay. I like it. I like it. Mine was who's still left in March Madness.
Oh, wow.
I stopped following after my team lost last weekend.
Guys, mine is boring. I was Googling the ratings of Triple Digit Flip. Oh my gosh.
How are they?
Really good.
That's exciting.
We're a top 100 cable TV show, so that is fun. All right, cool. So that was cool. Thank you for sharing that and being transparent and honest. Number 2.
Most memorable deal.
Oh gosh. I mean,
It could be good. It could be bad. It could be.
Yeah, as much as I've closed a few loans for some famous people, some famous politicians. Those are always memorable.
The McCain family, by chance?
I can't tell you who,
okay.
But
I'm just checking. I'm just seeing.
This one we did have an interesting one. This was and it was an investment file, and they went to go do the final walkthrough, and the seller. I know this because they sent me the final walkthrough pictures. The seller had converted the house into a bird sanctuary. There was actually a turkey in the master bedroom.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
It was amazing.
That is so great. A bird sanctuary in a house?
I know.
That's memorable.
That's very memorable. All right. Good answer there. What are you reading right now, Jody?
I've got a couple reads I'm doing. I've got them right here. Actually, I start my day with a year of positive thinking each day. So it's got, each morning, the first thing I do when I get to my desk, I open it up and there's a different, thought for each day. Some of them are actually pretty funny. So there's inspirational stuff in there, funny things, wisdom, courage, whatever. So I do that. And then I just started Hard Pivot by Apollo Ono.
Great book.
Excellent book. Change, find purpose, show up fully. So I'm excited about that one.
It's a great book. And I love how you are so smart in starting your day with intention. So, I mean, there's so many things that we can do to get our day started right. And I think a lot of that, it's all in the mind, right? So the first thing you do is just look at all of the things that you've got to do, and you're looking at your email and it's overwhelming, but you haven't fed your mind with something positive to start out with. It could totally take your day down the wrong path.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I being intentional and setting intentions is one of the things that I 1,000% believe in, and I do every single day. I'm a huge believer in it, and I know it works. Absolutely. Very cool.
Okay, I like this.
This is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what's something quite ordinary that maybe you've never done before? So last episode, I talked about how I'd never had a hamburger. Ever. So McDonald's is not my friend, right? Because I don't buy them.
Yeah, you're not a burger person.
Yeah. So what about you, Jody? Anything that's like everybody does it, but maybe you haven't?
I have never had seafood of any kind. No
Woo!
shrimp, no lobster, no crab, no sushi. I am from the Midwest. I am a land roaming meat and potatoes girl.
Wow, that's really surprising.
A fun fact.
Are you just like not interested in lobster or shrimps?
I don't know. I just think it's kind of weird. Like, I enjoy watching people eat it. Like,
no
it
fish either. Like
and social.
You never had a tilapia or salmon?
No fishy here.
Wow. That is so interesting and strange. That's okay. I mean, I'm sorry. I didn't mean strange in a like strange way. It's
That's
just
why we like the quick questions.
It's just like, but it's like, yeah, strange is great. It's just like, it's funny because like when I expect a vegetarian to say I've never eaten seafood before, or I don't eat seafood, because I'm like, you're a vegetarian, but like and then there's people who would say I only eat fish and I'm a pescatarian, right? And so I'm like, I get that. And then, but you're like, no, I only eat red meat and chicken. I don't
surf and turf.
Surf. I only surf.
Yeah,
I only turf. I don't surf.
I would say I'm, since I've gotten in, after 35 and up, I've been more adventurous with food. But
So what do you mean by more adventurous with food? Like you
I don't really know.
You like to mix mayonnaise and ketchup together?
Bolder than before.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've branched out of my box a little bit, but I grew up in a cornfield, so
I get it. No, that's super cool.
Okay, how about you, Jamil? We didn't even share one of those about you last
something
time.
that I've never done that's super ordinary? Gosh. Chin up.
Oh, what?
Those are hard to do.
Chin up.
I don't think those are for ordinary people.
No?
No. Those are hard.
Okay, yeah, they're hard.
They're
They're hard. I've never
They're
done
hard to
I've
do.
never done a chin up. I don't know if I could do a chin up or not, but
I bet you could do a push-up.
I think I could do a push up. I have done push ups before. Yes, I've never done a chin up, but I got to think about that. What else have I? I don't know.
Well, think about it, because we got more episodes to come.
Yeah. We'll circle back to this one. This is great. And then last, what is the best or worst advice that you've ever given or received? So just like some like total rock star advice, or some total like doofus things that you've heard. Anything that you could share?
Well, I'd probably have to go back to my junior high basketball coach. Yes, I played basketball, all 5'2" of me.
Basketball and dance.
I know. And
Athlete.
He was incredible. He was probably, I was good at basketball, but he was probably the first coach that wasn't my dad, that I felt like really believed in me and really gave me a shot at being, a starting player, or had that confidence. You perform so much better when whoever your leader is has confidence in you. And so every practice, and he would say it over and over during practices. And it was, when you're in the game and you go and you do your team huddle and you say something before you head out onto the court, he always said, never quit, never give up, and believe in yourself. And that has just stuck with me still to this day.
I love that. And you know what I think you just said, Jody? It applies to leadership, right? So don't you feel like in any position you've ever been in, when you're around people who believe in you, who are leaders in your life, don't they inspire you to be like the best version of yourself?
Absolutely. Not only when people that are like helping me believe in me, but even when people that I'm helping believe in me. It's that the energy of belief that I think energizes us and pushes us in a different frequency of activity, and really helps us, almost transcend some of our own like self-induced limitations. Like when people believe in you, you believe in you, and it's really important. And for me, I've had that with my significant other. Like my wife is a huge fan of me, and often she'll say to me like, you're great, you're amazing, and you can do anything and everything that you could possibly want, even when I feel like a total dog turd, but I have that significant person in my life that's like, you are amazing, you rock. And then I believe her, so then I push forward and do the thing, and so like I really believe in that. I think that's
Gold.
Super true. Yeah, it really is.
It's like that quote about, you're not who you think you are, you're not who other people think you are, but you're who you think other people think you are.
Oh,
right.
Wow. You're who other people think you are. Right? Is that what you said?
Who you think
You're
other
who you
people
think other people
you
think.
are.
Man, that's
Yeah.
deep. That's like Inception deep. Crazy. This has been so much fun, Jody. Really, it's been a great opportunity talking to you, and we really want to dive into some Q&A here before we let you go. But before we do that, just last thing, is there any charity or thing that you're passionate about that you'd like to shout out?
Because we really want to share on this different ways that investors can help earn more money, and also places they can give back or volunteer their time. So is there anything on that front that you're passionate about?
I do. There's two of them. So for 10 years, and they're based out of California. So I've got an out-of-state one and a local one that I support. But the out-of-state one, they're based out of California, and it originally started as Camp Kindle, and now it's merged and molded over the years, and it's called Project Kindle. But it started out as it was for HIV positive kids, or someone in their family, mom, dad, sibling, whatever, was HIV positive. I actually was a counselor for them for 10 years before I got into the industry and had kids and all that stuff. Mentor, all that stuff for them. And now it's kind of morphed into Project Kindle, which is for all kids that are sick, whether it's cancer or, all the different illnesses that take over the life these days. So that's kind of my world or national one. And then over here in Glendale specifically, Heart for the City is a big one that both my husband and I have supported for years. We go to their Heart Ball, their big fundraiser every February around Valentine's Day. So that one is near and dear to our heart, because we know the owner, or the main guy of that charity, and have come pretty close together with his daughter, and just supported them over the years. And I love helping kids. So anything that I can do, if there's any charities at all that I can ever help or give time, money, support in any way, I'm all about helping the kids. So, yeah.
That's pretty great. Thank you for sharing that, Jody. And guys, check out the organizations that she's championing. It's really important that we not only give our time, knowledge, and resources to help people that need it, but also to get involved, to be a part of it. Like you said, like Jody said, she shows up every February around Valentine's Day and supports and is a part of this. So find a way, find something that you can do and support, because it helps you round out who you are as a human being. Now we're going to get into some of the questions, because there's been a lot piling up here. We're not going to get to all of them, unfortunately, guys, but we're going to ask some of the more pressing ones. And if there's any question that you did not get an answer to today, you can email Dena. And what's that email again, Dena?
titletalk@fnf.com.
All right, so we're going to get it started here. And again, it's titletalk@fnf.com for anybody that's listening to this on Apple or Spotify. But right away, first question is, Bobby, if you'd put that up. Yeah. Great question from Nadine Cantorna. And it was, why would a title company need to verify the operating agreement of my holding company if my subsidiary LLC is the one that signed the purchase and sale agreement? I've been asked for OAs for both LLCs. Wow, she disappeared.
Wait, what happened? She just went ghost.
That was.
No,
oh
I'm
my God.
I'm afraid my dog, so if I cruise off, it's not because I don't love you dearly.
Oh, no problem. Did you were you
hear
able to
me?
hear that? Yeah, we heard you. We heard you good. We had a little bit of a shaky connection, so we'll probably wrap this up sooner than later. But did you get the question that we had asked? Why would a title company need to verify an operating agreement of a holding company if the subsidiary LLC is the one that signed the purchase and sale agreement? Nadine has been asked for both operating agreements for both LLCs.
My guess would be I would have to see the entity docs, but it would be my bet that there was something in the entity docs for the subsidiary that referred to other members or possible members having ownership.
Or
so
needing
that
to
would
sign?
be my guess on that. Yeah,
So
or needing to
something
sign
from the
ownership. Yeah.
Something in the subsidiary LLC's
So it-
documents pointed to.
Correct.
Makes sense. All right. Let's keep it moving. When somebody opens or signs a purchase contract, do they just contact the title company to open escrow and deposit EMD?
Yep, easy peasy. All you have to do is send over the contract and contact information, of course, because we're going to want to reach out to both the buyers and sellers or investors or whoever's involved in the transaction and start getting the communications going.
Awesome. Let's go to Lenny's question, Bob. Or that's a good one. Yep. There we go. Go ahead, Dena.
How much does it cost for a preliminary title for a wholesaler, just to check to see if title is clean? We don't need a full title insurance. How much?
So if we do.
So I think we kind of talked about this at the beginning, but
Yes.
if we're going to do just a liens and encumbrances search in our operation, we're not going to need to charge for that. But if we do a full preliminary title report, then it's $650 as a hard cost.
But you don't as the investor, you don't pay that. The title company covers that expense.
Correct.
Yeah. So the cost to the title company, Lenny, is $650. So do that sparingly, but also instead do a lien and encumbrances search. That'll be a lot less money. Ooh, this is a good one.
Yeah, it is. So when we call a title company, discover if they are investor friendly. Is there a particular person that we speak to, or do we just call any office? So if you want to connect with me and tell me what market you're in, I'm happy to connect you with an investor friendly title company in your market. A couple good questions to ask. I would say ask them just, are you investor friendly? Do you do creative deals? Do you do assignments? Do you do double escrows? What do your claims reserves looks like? I mean, those are pretty easy questions to ask any person that you're considering as a escrow officer.
I've had astro flipping community members get scared to call a title company and ask if they're.
We're not scared.
I know, but if they're like, I feel scared to ask a title company if they do double escrows because I feel like I'm doing something wrong. If we can clear this up, is there anything unethical or wrong with assignments or double escrows?
No.
Is there anything illegal about any of that?
No.
Is there
not
anything?
here.
Yeah, I mean,
it's about, your threshold, right? It's
Right.
about what you can ask them for advice too. Like, should this be a double escrow or should this be an assignment based on everything that we've got going on?
awesome. Bob? Sorry. Bobby, next question.
And we
Bobby.
did lose Jody, so I'm so sorry that her internet connection went out, but she was so fun. Thank you so much for being here, Jody.
So Sylvan Art of Healing asked, should I just walk into an office and introduce myself, or is that weird?
It's funny you ask that. It's not weird. I think I've actually, true story, I've got some investors we work with today that literally 8 years ago, they walked into my office in Tempe at Rio Salado and said, we need to talk to somebody about how do we get started in investing. And it just was a happenstance. I happened to be actually in the office because as a salesperson at the time, I wasn't just hanging out at my office, right? So 8 years later, we're still doing deals together.
Wow.
And I helped them with everything from who to connect with to start their LLC to who to connect with to get some investor education and everything in the mix of that. And we've done hundreds of deals since. But I will tell you, it's going to be a lot easier if you set an appointment because our escrow teams are very, very busy. And you're definitely going to get their undivided attention if you're on their calendar.
Phenomenal. Guys, this has been an incredible time hanging out with Jody Ayala and Dena Jones from Fidelity National Title. Guys, we are so grateful. Jody, you're back. Nice to see you. I'm happy that we get to say hi to you. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today and helping us understand all the nuances and crazy things that can happen in title. Title is
Absolutely.
sexy.
Thank you for having
Great.
us.
Should that be our hashtag? Title is sexy.
Title is sexy.
I like it.
Title is sexy.
One last question before, because we didn't get to ask you one. This might be a crazy question to ask. Skylar asked it, by the way, in case you do think it's crazy. Is title and the deed the same thing? Are title and the deed the same thing?
Yes and no. So when we're referring to, so the deed is what vests your ownership. When I say vest, it means it holds your ownership, it transfers the ownership, it shows your vesting ultimately how you're going to hold title. When we refer to title, that's the deed, the chain, anything, any clouds, anything that's going on the property. It's everything. And so the title insurance is what insures the title and the deed. So they really kind of cross over if I'm going to answer you correctly.
And it's not a crazy question.
No, it's actually a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
Jody, thank you so much for spending your time with us tonight. We really enjoyed this conversation. And how do people get in touch with you if they want to do deals in Arizona?
I think so. Dena's they can always contact me directly, which is Jody, Jodi, Ayala, Ayala @fnf.com. That's F as in Fidelity.
And they need to make sure that they got to tell you that they found you on the Title Talk podcast, because we want to make sure that she knows where you came from, and that's important. We want to be able
let me
to
know the connection for sure, because I always if you mention Jamil, you're always going to get the VIP treatment.
Yeah, absolutely. If you say that I came from Dena and Jamil, you absolutely are going to get the red carpet VIP treatment. Not that everybody doesn't already get the VIP treatment, but it's like VVIP. It's VVVVIP.
Red carpet, white gloves.
Yeah, red carpet, white glove. You get the George Clooney treatment.
Yeah. Ooh.
Ooh.
And you've met him.
He was like, I cool, kind of hot, but like,
And you can always email titletalk@fnf.com if you
Yep.
guys have any questions on connecting too.
Guys, we're going to keep bringing on escrow officers from around the country. So if if you're looking for a investor-friendly title company in your neck of the woods, email Dena at titletalk@fnf.com and let her know where you'd like to see or hear from a title company in your local area. But also make sure that you're tuning in every single week, and also hit that like and subscribe button if you already haven't done that, and follow Dena on all her socials. Where can they find you, Dena?
Instagram, it's just Dena M. Jones. And I think our podcast is on Apple and Spotify already too. So follow those.
Absolutely.
Talk.
It sure is. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, Jody. You're amazing. We appreciate you and love you. And to everybody that showed up, take care. We'll see you on the next Title Talk.